Did you know that Mount Charleston has summer activities? Hi, Catherine with the Thomas Group and Real Broker, your local Las Vegas and Henderson realtors. Today I am in Mount Charleston getting a break from that Las Vegas heat. It is quite a bit cooler up here and there is so much to do. Right now we are at the Spring Mountains Visitor Gateway Center. I'm going to give you a little tour of that, talk about some of the activities that there are to do, and some of the really cool things right here at the Visitor Center. Now you can see that I'm standing just slightly in front of the center of this circle. The reason being, and I don't think you'll be able to hear it, but when I step into the circle, I can hear myself echoing. You have to come stand in this spot and try it out for yourself. It is absolutely wild. So let's go check out what Spring Mountain Visitor Center has to offer. The Spring Mountain Visitors Gateway is 120 acres of reclaimed golf course land. You have public buildings now, hikes, educational programs. There really is so much here. There are also two amphitheaters, the Mount Charleston Amphitheater, where the Junior Rangers program takes place, and the Kyle Amphitheater, which can seat up to 300 people for year-round concerts. You're also going to find here the Seven Stones Plaza, which gives information about the 7 Southern Paiute tribes, and you can learn all about their heritage. There's also the memorial for the Cold War heroes here. Let's go inside, check out the Visitor Center, get a map, some more information on the hikes and programs, and see what it looks like inside. So there are tons of hiking and camping opportunities up here at Mount Charleston. Now it is the middle of July, so you might be thinking, oh my gosh, you're going for a hike. But the weather difference is quite huge. Today in Las Vegas, it's supposed to get up to 111 as a high, but up here where we are, it's only gonna get up to 82 and it's only about 70 right now. Now let's talk about some of these hiking trails. There are 2 in Lee Canyon, Bristol Cone Trail and Nature Loop. Now, Bristol Cone Trail is a moderate 6.5 mile loop that takes you through a winding forest full of Bristol cone pine trees. And you get to a scenic outlook where there are tons of ancient trees like this that can be over 4,800 years old. Now, there are 2 parts of it. The trail can be started from either the lower Bristol Cone Trailhead or the upper Bristol Cone Trailhead. Now, you will encounter rocky terrain through a thick forest and a seasonal stream if you're lucky, and you'll have a great view of the Mummy Mountains. Now the Nature Loop is less than a mile loop. It's a pretty easy trail, and it's gonna feature a walkway outlined by quaking aspens. The Nature Loop can be accessed via the resort or the Bristol Cone Trail. Eagle's Nest Trail is an easy 2.7 mile loop in the Kyle Canyon portion of Mount Charleston. Now you'll start at Fletcher Trailhead that does have parking and restrooms, and you'll come up upon a junction that takes you to Eagle's Nest. There are 5 leisurely switchback points, and you do come up on an overlook that gives you a gorgeous view of the mountains. Robber's Roost is a moderate 0.4 mile round trip trail. This trail goes through the Pinyon Pine and Curl Leaf Mountain Mahogany on a slightly rocky path. 100 feet into the trail, there appears to be a route which used to be the Civilian Conservation Corps Road. Now, fun fact, the CCC, as it's known, was a voluntary government work relief program that ran from about 1930s to 1942 in the United States. This was for unemployed, unmarried young men. They built or improved many parks and recreation areas, and you'll see a lot of the remnants of what they did right here in Mount Charleston. Now back to Robber's Roost Trail. At the 0.1 mile mark, you will approach limestone stairs. Hikers must complete a moderate scramble atop limestone rocks, so be careful if it is wet or slippery. A few hundred feet past this point, the trail arrives at the Robber's Roost Caves, where the world-class rock climbing can be found. Another easy/moderate trail is going to be Vistas Trailhead. This is about a 3-mile round trip, and the path follows the Kyle Canyon Wash past historic CCC sites that were built in the 1930s and does feature educational panels about the flora, fauna, cultural, and geological history of the Spring Mountains, along with benches and shade throughout the trail if you need to stop and take a break. The trail can be accessed from 2 different points: the Spring Mountains Visitor Center Gateway and the Fletcher View Trailhead. This is wheelchair and stroller accessible. All right, let's get into some of the more difficult trails. First one is Trail Canyon, which is 4.4-mile round trip. On this trail, you will pass a water tower, a quaking aspen grove, and go through the Mount Charleston Wilderness area. In the spring, you might even find a seasonal creek from some of the snow melting. This trail is uneven, and you will have to scale some limestone stairs. Cathedral Rock Trailhead is about 2.8 miles round trip. And in the summer, this is one of the most beautiful trails when the wildflowers are blooming and the butterflies are fluttering all around. In the winter though, this is a major avalanche area, and so Cathedral Rock Trailhead will be closed in the winter. About halfway up the trail, there is a waterfall just off the trail with a short road leading to it. As the trail goes up the canyon toward the back of Cathedral Rock, you will get an avalanche chute view from below. Now the trail is a few short, steep switchbacks before reaching the summit with a spectacular view of Kyle Canyon. All right, the most difficult trail is Mount Charleston National Recreation Trail, the South Loop. This is 8.5 miles to Charleston Peak. The trail is a steep climb from Cathedral Rock Trailhead. It does weave towards Echo Canyon. The trail traverses an avalanche chute lined with quaking aspen, and there is a slow climb through a meadow. Around the 6-mile mark, the trail crosses the timberline, leaving the Bristol Cone Pines, and the final stretch is a strenuous half-mile climb to a gorgeous view of Charleston Peak summit. So if hiking is not for you, but you still want to enjoy some of the beautiful scenery, there is Desert View Overlook. Now this is wheelchair and stroller friendly and is paved right off of Deer Creek Highway. There are multiple viewing platforms with educational panels, some benches, and near trees that have beautiful shade and some great view vantage points. Now, a fun fact about this, the Desert View Overlook has expansive views of the Mojave Desert and was known for being a great vantage point for the bomb detonations back in the day. That's absolutely wild to me, but really cool to think about. And you will have some educational panels that do talk a little bit more about this, as well as the flora, fauna, geological, and cultural surroundings of the mountains and the dry lake beds. All right, last but not least, let's talk about Mary Jane Falls, which is the trail that I'm gonna take you on today. Now this is a more difficult 3.2-mile round trip trail. And as you get into it, it is wider, more well-defined, but as you go along, it does narrow and get a little bit steeper. The final part of the trail will lead you across limestone rock, and you'll get to the base of the falls. The falls are solely fed by snowfall from the tops of the mountains and are at their peak in the early spring. So hopefully we'll get to see a little bit of that today. Now, before we get started though, remember that Mount Charleston is a delicate ecosystem with lots of different species of plants. So make sure that you stay on your path. Dogs are welcome as long as they are on a leash. Make sure to pack plenty of water and check your weather conditions before you come out. Let's go do this hike together. All right, so we made it to the top. As you can see, there's a little bit of waterfall behind us. It is the end of July and we're still getting some snow melt here. There's some little chipmunks that are running around too. They're not shy at all. I wouldn't recommend trying to feed them or touching them, but they were like right up next to my feet. There's one coming here like right now. I mean, this is really cool. It only took us about 40 minutes, so really not that bad. We did stop a little bit to catch our breath. The higher you get, the thinner the air gets. You do need to take a deep breath every once in a while, but so absolutely gorgeous up here. Definitely would recommend it and just so peaceful. So come do Mary Jane Falls Trail and enjoy. there are 4 different designated campground areas in Mount Charleston. The one that we're at right now is Mahogany Grove, as you can see behind me. This is a historic site where the Civil Service Corps developed campgrounds from the 1930s on, and you can see some of the remnants of it around here. Now, you do also have tons of trails up this way as well. Another campground is going to be Hilltop. Now, it is very high up, so you are going to get some amazing views, but you do have to be careful about the high winds there. McWilliams is another campground. It is one of the largest and recently renovated, and there's also Fletcher View Campground. Now, some of these do need to make reservations for, and they do have some regulations. So you can go on the Mount Charleston website, gomtcharleston.com, click on the camping and go to their website to do reservations and to get more information. Now, if you really want to get away from it all, there is dispersed camping. So there are not going to be any designated areas for this, and you are just on your own camping in the middle of Mount Charleston. This also does mean that there are not going to be any services like restrooms, picnic tables, trash cans, anything like that. So you have to be really careful to follow the guidelines and check all of the rules and weather conditions. Now, speaking of picnic tables, there are tons of picnic areas all around Mount Charleston. So if you want to stop and take a break or bring the kids out here, especially young kids that might be too young to do hikes and stuff, and just enjoy some of the scenery and do a picnic. Now, if camping is not for you, like it's not for me, then there are other options. You do have the resort at Mount Charleston and the cabins that are open year-round as well. So not all of the campgrounds are going to be open year-round, so make sure that you check for your reservations and to see when they're open. I do know that the Fletcher Campground specifically is right next to the Kyle Canyon Wash, so during monsoon season around mid-July to mid-September, that one will be closed, and not all of them are going to be open during the winter. So before you come up, make sure you check your guidelines, make some reservations. Again, that website is gomtcharleston.com. So once you're up here at Lee Canyon, it's gonna look a little different than if you're normally here in the winter. Where you normally see snow, snowboarding, and skiing is now where all of your summer activities are. You have your axe throwing, which is limited to ages 10 and up. You can have 4 people at a time per lane, and you can get really competitive with it. After you've thrown a few and get the feel for it, you can challenge your friends to a competition. Now let's talk about the disc golf. If you have your own equipment, you're more than welcome to bring it. Otherwise, it is $10 for rentals, and you do get your drivers and your putters with that. It is recommended to wear sturdy hiking shoes, as the terrain can be a little rocky, and you will need to take the scenic chairlift to get up there, which is an additional $10 per ticket for adults. So there is also archery. Now, you cannot bring your own arrows for this. You do have to rent them here. It is $25 per lane for a maximum of 30 minutes, and this is going to be for ages 8 and up. Now, all of these activities are daily from 10 to 6 p.m., and you can purchase your tickets right here in the base camp tent. If mountain biking is your thing, they have that here too. You might be able to see behind me on the scenic chairlift that there are separate slots for bikes. They can carry up to 4 bikes at a time up the top of the mountain, and you will get some really great downhill rides. Now, you can either bring your own bike or you can rent it here. Single day passes are going to start at $29, and kids 12 and under are free. Now, season passes are going to be $349. That's going to be for kids 13 and older, and you can enjoy unlimited mountain biking and the lifts that go all the way up. Your bike rentals are going to be from 9:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. and the mountain biking is open 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So come try your mountain biking skills or just your biking skills on these really cool trails. So you really could spend an entire day up here, whether you bring your own snacks or have something from the cafe here after a long day of outdoor activities up here. Thanks so much for checking out Mount Charleston and Lee Canyon and all the summer activities up here. It is only about 45 minutes to an hour away from the city, so it's a great break from the heat and just to get out and enjoy nature for a day. Don't forget to be really careful if you're doing hikes and trails with the delicate ecosystem here. You can bring your dogs as long as they stay on a leash, but be very careful about touching any other wild animals. There's a really hefty fine if you pet or touch any of the burros or wild horses, and they are everywhere here. If you have any other questions about Mount Charleston, feel free to reach out, or you can go to their website, gomtcharleston.com. I am your first-time home buyer expert, so if you have any questions about the real estate market or buying your first home, I would love to help you out with that. My name is Catherine. My extension is number 6 at the number below, or you can reach us at thethomasgroupelv.com. I look forward to seeing you in our next adventure.